from the description of this book, some of the things that we should thank Corona.
It's quite sad, but there was a statistic on how much time we spend driving, and that we spend most of this time driving angry.
So I cannot see any kind of point of view where this could be seen as ending well. So thank you, President Corona, for that, for helping that.
Exactly. Thank you, President Corona, because there is no benefit in commuting by car to your job place.
Also thank the President Corona for that, is that you should thank if you left the job you hated. What do you mean exactly by that? How much of the book is really AI generation versus your own input and editing? Is it 100% done with ChatGPT?
When you go to the easy way to create passive income, then you're doomed to fail. Because, as I said even before, if you can create...
everyone can do it, right?
Yes, that everyone can do. There is no value in that. Using AI to try to destroy your work so that they can come out stronger.
Do you believe that AI can truly offer meaningful life advice? Maybe one day you can just take the game out of the shelf and just ask ChatGPT to make the move, and you play it with AI and with several players with personalities. I don't know, maybe one day. Alex, thank you very much for accepting this invitation and the challenge to have a conversation with me about your interesting projects as well as to play Azul. Okay, the game has started. So as an introduction, Alex, you have a Medium page where you post about several topics, but also you have 2 published books, which I'm very interested to talk to you a little bit and to get to know the inspiration behind them. But first of all, because this is a board games channel, right? What is your connection with board games?
Well, I have to say that my connection with board games is not as strong, but has always been there somehow, because I think that applies to everyone. Board games are a nice way to come together and socialize with people or friends. And I can, since I was playing Monopoly, that is probably a classic.
Everyone mentions that.
Yeah, of course. It's an evergreen. Board games, so since then, just recalls me memories of socialization, good memories, laughs, and sometimes getting angry at your friends.
I was going to say that my experience with Monopoly is getting angry with people, not having laughs.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, maybe it's my family or my friends. So you remember playing Monopoly?
And then with time also I had a poker season that I know is not considered a classic board game, but it is, and it involves a lot of skills. So it's playing in a casino, is not really gambling, it's still a skill game. And I've been quite semi-pro for a while before joining the industry and working on the other side as well. Board games came back to my life when I moved to Lisbon, because I had the luck of discovering a nice bar that was called Apple House. I think you play there as well. Sometimes they have an amazing assortment of board games. And when you're in a new big city, you don't know anyone, one of the best ways to make friends is just to join some board game sessions. And yeah, that was awesome. And I met many good friends there. Yeah, so I think board games, despite I don't play them regularly, somehow are an important part of my life, I would say.
Julio, the owner of Apple House, will be happy for the publicity that you're making.
Oh, I'm sure
Julio,
he is.
If you're hearing this. Thank you for the introduction. So I'm noticing that at least so far, you are speaking, and then you stop speaking, you play, and then you stop playing, you speak. So is it being difficult to do both things at the same time for now, Alex?
A little bit. I can't say I'm a champion multitasking, but I think it's flowing.
Okay.
Getting used to it. Probably after a few rounds, I will get even better.
You'll be a pro. Let's see.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay. So let's talk about the topics that you like. So you wrote in 2000, or you published in 2023, a book called Thank you, President Corona. What inspired you to write a book about the impact of the coronavirus? Because it's not just the impact by the name or by the title. Thank you, President Corona. So you focus on the good things, if any. You tell us the good things that coronavirus brought us. What inspired you?
Yeah, I have to say that it probably comes from personal experience first and foremost, because well, at the end of 2019, I wasn't doing it that great. I wasn't happy with my life. I was in Malta back then, a small island, and I had been there for like 8 years. So 8 years on a small island can be such a long time. And I felt a little bit trapped as well, and I needed something to shake off things, to shake off my life, and that happened to be a pandemic. And like it happened to everyone else, the pandemic just forced me to rediscuss my life choices, my priorities, acknowledge my bad habits as well. Like, for example, I was really out of shape. Um, I was having like junk food a lot while every time that I was on break from work at the office. Yeah, I remember like I was so much in junk food and sweets and even like at the office during my break. Since I'm not a smoker, I was thinking, okay, what can I do? I will go to the coffee machine and prepare a cappuccino, sweet hot chocolate, all those nasty things. Say. And yeah, so I wasn't happy with myself. But when the pandemic hit, then we were forced to work from home. And then I had time to, first of all, go back to cook my own food. So cooking healthier and spending my breaks, doing push ups, exercising, meditating. And I saw just in a few weeks drastic improvement. And so that's how it came to my mind the sentence like, thank you, President Corona. President Corona, because by chance I was listening to an Italian song that was titled basically The President of the World. At the same time, I was thinking, okay, this virus is really in the whole world, it's forcing the whole world to take some measures, even to change the way we work, we socialize, we do things. It forces us to develop new technology
Yes.
record time. And I say, okay, so this little virus is the first president of the world. And that sounds like President Corona, which could also sound like a human name. Sounded good. And I even designed a logo that I basically combined using, the man from the toilet sign, and then just added
Yes.
um,
That's the
a
cover of the
tie.
book, right?
Yeah, exactly. A tie, and the head I just added some spikes to make it a virus-like.
The virus looked like a virus. Just to say to everyone that is interested in exploring the books that we are going to discuss today, I left the links in the video description so you can find it yourselves and download and reach out to Alex if you want to discuss deeper. Um, that explains indeed. So the interesting. So you view the virus as being a president that dictated the changes of everyone's life, and more like a. You didn't call it dictator. You call it a president. He was not elected. So why president?
Well, true, he wasn't elected at the same time. Somehow it was. I mean, probably like ourselves elected it. I don't know. Like the president just had like a
I
more
didn't.
positive
I
light.
didn't, Alex.
But yes, president because I wanted us to communicate like a more like positive system.
Positive vibe.
Yeah.
Okay. So, um, from the description of this book, you made some sentences that immediately tell the readers of the book some of the things that we should thank Corona. Okay, one of the things that you mentioned is that we should thank President Corona for being able to work anywhere you want. Do you think that COVID or Corona permanently changed the way we work and interact, or we are getting back to the old ways?
Well, I have to say that I see around in many industries a sort of restoration attempt. I see and I hear many companies that are trying to force people to go back to the office, or at least negotiate a hybrid approach. Like, okay, you work from home twice a week, but you come to the office 3 times a week. So of course, like every revolution, then after has a restoration period, unfortunately.
Okay.
And I see this. Nevertheless, there are also other companies and realities that are pushing uh, and promoting the fact that they allow their employees to work from anywhere. And I see these companies are better positioned to attract the best talent. So there is kind of competition now. Okay,
Mhm.
choose like this company that forces you to go back to the office and accept their terms, or you can join another reality that will be glad to allow you freedom. And even there is also another meaning nowadays in today's current uh, work environment. When you see an employer allowing you to work from anywhere, is also a token of trust. It means that you're going to join an environment
It
where
is.
the management will trust you, and that makes a lot of difference. I think for many professionals,
Mhm.
in trust is really important, even more than other conditions like salary or benefits or location.
So I'm connected with remote work, so I truly understand what you mean there, Alex, because not every company could just simply change to remote work. When it has two views here: the view from the employer, which you say that they need to trust people. Depends on the company, because some companies they are remote, but then they force you to install tracking things on your machine or take print screen, etc. So they control you, try to micromanage. Fortunately, those are not as much as the others, because the true remote ones are the ones that allow you to work from anywhere. You could be working from home, from a co-working office. You could be traveling the world and working at the same time. You could be working from the beach. And as long as you are delivered as expected, that's fine, right? You could be working, you are autonomous in managing your work time. You just need to be reachable. I think that's important for companies. If something happens, you need to be reachable and acknowledge, hey, I've seen the message, I acknowledge the problem, I will solve it as soon as possible.
Mhm.
And that creates a culture of trust, as you mentioned, and empowerment, because from the employee side, you need to be senior and professional to deliver as expected, and senior because you will be on your corner of the world without anyone around you, without anyone on the next room for you to go there and ask for help. So you need to be experienced in finding the solutions for yourself, or to know how to communicate to with colleagues to get things solved. Okay. Yes. So that's a different mindset indeed.
Absolutely, absolutely, and
I don't know if you agree. Okay.
absolutely. And I feel lucky that I had the privilege of working in such environment that completely trusts you and empowers you and gives you all the initiative that you need to deliver the best job possible
Mm-hmm.
and to grow, because then it's all about growth in the end.
Mm-hmm. Another good thing that I felt with the coronavirus is that the fact when you work remote, you can manage the time as you see fit. So if you finish done what you need to do, you can then convert the time into do other things like personal hobbies or spend time with the family. So you don't, from a personal perspective, didn't have to commute again or spend time in traffic. So that was a huge boost or on balancing the professional life and personal life. Okay. So that's really that's really good when you work remotely, having that opportunity as well to manage properly your time.
Exactly, and it's a point that I touch in the book as well, especially highlighting how sparing the commuting time is essential in improving the quality of life, especially for those people that are forced to drive to work, which is so
Yes. Yeah.
dramatic because
Crazy. Crazy
yeah,
amount
it's
of time.
crazy, and we all know that how people can get angry behind the wheel. It's it's quite sad, but there was a statistic on how much time we spend driving, and that we spend most of this time driving angry. So when people drive, they can get easily angry because in the end, driving is quite a complex and stressful task. You always have to be careful and even anticipating what others might be doing wrong, avoiding accidents. We all know that Joonto is also automatic driving, very natural for most of the people. It's also one of the most dangerous activities that we can do. And in many countries, road accidents are still like the first cause of death, or at least among the main ones.
Mhm.
Talking about personal experience, I always hated driving to work. I like driving, but I wish that I can do it for like trips, recreational purposes, maybe for doing like the big groceries, but definitely not to go to work. I don't want to be forced to drive. I just want to
Mhm.
drive pleasure, not because I out of necessity.
How sane can your life be if the first thing you do in the morning is to go to work and go into traffic where you need to discuss with other people, you get nervous, half an hour, maybe 1 hour on that kind of environment, and then you start your working day after that. So this is not going to end well, right? You're going to
Right.
stress a lot and your mental health will be screwed very fast. And then it will reflect on your physical health, etc. And then after a day of work, you need to go back home. You need to go over all that again before you go back to your family. So then you will probably not be in the best place from an emotional perspective to deal with the kind of things that you also need to deal with in family environments. So I cannot see any kind of point of view where this could be seen as ending well.
Yeah, right. So there
So
is
thank you,
no
President Corona, for that, for helping us.
exactly. Thank you, President Corona, because there is no benefit in commuting by car to your job place.
Even the people that are listening to this and say, or they are thinking, oh, that's remote work. Those are for just the lucky ones because even after Corona, even today, I still need to drive to work. It's true, but I've drove my car in rush hours and it's not the same as before. I think there are less cars. I think there are less cars. So everyone is benefiting from that. Even if you're still commuting, you don't have as many cars as before. So thank you again, President Corona, for that. Um, on a more generic view, Alex, and this may be difficult for you to get in one shot. We may split the answer or your view, but how do you think that the pandemic has reshaped the global economies and industries?
That's a good question. Well, when I was writing, I also thought like, okay, let me see like the total size of the global economy and if it's going down or it's going to grow again. And yeah, after the
Mm-hmm.
brutal freezing in 2020, then the global economy rebounds immediately and they reach its all-time high the next year. So for sure, like we tend to think instinctively, the pandemic really didn't damage the global economy. It wasn't really like a crash. It was more like a temporary freezing of the economy. That also helped, gave us an unprecedented time to rethink about many things and to restart better. It was as the economy for once, for the first time in history, said like, okay, let me stop 1 second, 5 minutes to catch my breath, rethink, and see how I can rearrange to become even stronger, more resilient. And that's what I see happen. So in the end, even like the overall impact on the economy after the initial shock was quite positive as well. At least it might even have delayed the next crack.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not an economist, so I refrain from bold predictions, but as of now, it looks like
Okay.
working in finance, I can still understand something, and I can see that there was some cleaning as well, some second thoughts, some reflection, and in the end, like it might have avoided some major disruptions in the end, paradoxically. What basically affected negatively is the inflation. So inflation, like the pandemic, has a big role in this. Yeah, President Corona probably we cannot thank him for the rise of prices that we all experience all around the world.
Someone has to pay everything that was.
Yeah, there is always a downside for everything, right? Nothing is really perfect. No one
Mhm.
is really
Okay.
perfect. So, oh, okay, I have a little hope. Yeah, so if I had to mention something negative, also actual honesty, I would say, yeah, inflation definitely hurt a little bit the economy. But at the same time, probably the pandemic, the freezing, avoided some bigger damages.
Um, Alex, you have the last play of the game. So after you play, we'll see the end game will be triggered. So let's see the final score.
Okay.
Okay. So 5 points there. That's the row that is going to trigger the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, almost 6 points. Okay. Because that one was adjacent to many of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. 42
But
to 25. Yeah, I know. The first game, you're just getting back to how to play Azul, right? So,
yeah,
would you accept a rematch for us to continue our conversation? Okay,
yeah.
so let's take care of that. Getting back to our friend, the present Corona, one of the things that you mentioned in your book that you
Mm-hmm.
also thank the present Corona for that is that you should thank if you left the job you hated. What do you mean exactly by that? Are you mentioning or making references to the Great Resignation that happened through those periods or after?
Yeah, exactly. That took place mostly in 2021, so in the year two of the pandemic. And probably because of that period of self reflection that I talked about, and that was similar also to other people had similar epiphanies. Many people realize that, okay, I don't like the job that I'm doing. So what can I do with my life? And they began to requalify, search for other jobs. Who lost their jobs maybe realized that, okay, leaving a job is not that traumatic as many think. So it's possible to leave your job and to overcome that fear of leaving your job and changing for a better one. So there was like something new that I see like in a post-pandemic world is that now people are more keen to take the risk of changing job. And before the pandemic, it was even in the most dynamic job markets, like in the Anglo-Saxon countries, where compared to Latin countries, it's more common to change job. There were still many people that were just stick to the same job place and for all of their life, even when they were complaining non-stop about it. I remember a friend that hated his job place so much. And then every time that I was proposing him, helping him to find something else, he was just barricading with his signature sentence. Well, but honestly, it's still a good environment. I like my colleagues, so thanks, but I'll stay there. And then next time he was complaining again. And again, I was proposing him to change. And of course, no, I don't change. Nowadays, I see more like dynam- dynamics, like better
Mhm.
dynamics. And I see like when someone is really tired or the job place, they at least they try, they consider to change position, to change company, to change. in location or whatever, they they accept less bad working conditions. Yeah, because in the end, we spend like one third of our life, of our day at least, at a job place. So it's important that it's a good one. And especially when you're educated, so I mean, like, meaning that you study hard for some years to get to your position, it's a pity if you end up in a place that vilifies you, like mortifies you, like that. And yeah, so I see
Mhm.
nowadays
No
more
one like that.
culture, a culture of changing what you can change. Because in the end, like, you can change your work if you really want to. It's up to you.
Do you also think that during that period, companies hired more than they should need? Because some years after, we saw the opposite, which was lots of massive layoffs, especially in tech. So it sounded like there was too much of a hiring that period. And then that facilitated also people seeing lots of opportunities in the market. So I have like many other remote opportunities to go. But then I felt like something happened and it shifted with mass layoffs. Is it still related with present corona or is something else, some different phenomenon for you?
I think it's more like related to the fact that tech companies, especially, this is pretty relevant in the tech industry, but not necessarily in other industries. Is that the tech industry is highly competitive, moves very fast, so it also grows in bursts. It always happens that they hire more people than they need when they have a new project, but that project can die out
Mm-hmm.
quite fast, and so once it dies out, they don't need those teams anymore, and they lay off. It's it's kind of life or death in that highly competitive industry. I can think like an example can be like if Microsoft creates invest like in a new technology to improve their Teams product. So they just think, okay, let's try to create a new Microsoft Team service, experimenting with generative AI, integrating into it, and then they just hire people to work on that for 6 months. Then they see like in 6 months sprint, things don't work out, and then it's very easy for Microsoft to say, "Sorry, guys, it's not working. We wish you the best in your next
Bye bye.
endeavors. Yeah, bye bye." So I don't think it's related to the pandemic itself.
Mm-hmm. Often it goes to the news when the fangs do that, right? They first start to laying off, and then it cascades to all the suppliers of the fangs and all the associated companies. And then what I think happens is that everyone else in the market that was planning to reduce their workforce, they now have a very valid excuse, which is, so if Microsoft is doing, if Meta is doing, if Amazon is doing, we can do it and it will not look bad because everyone is
We
doing it. Is there any truth in this or not, Alex?
Well, I cannot have an answer for that. I can set an example, but at the same time, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, every company and every industry has its specific needs. So, like, hiring and layoffs are quite seasonal, right? Sometimes there are more hirings, sometimes there are more layoffs. And anyway, I mean, the tech industry is not the only industry. Then
Mm-hmm.
also, paradoxically, this explosion of AI, which I always say that is not really AI. AI is a marketing term, but paradoxically, unlike many doomers predict, AI is creating new jobs rather than just taking them away. So there is also a
Okay.
silver for that as well. Of course, like AI is taking away more repetitive common jobs, so unqualified jobs, because we so-called generative AI and predictive AI is easier to automate tasks, even though people are using AI to automate tasks that you could already automate in the past. But of course, today is easier. So, of course, like for that,
Mm-hmm.
really simple jobs, like now they are incorporated into a single employee. If before you needed one employee to manage the Excel files, then one employee to enter in the data, and one employee to review the data. Now, one employee armed with a good AI tool can do everything, or at least they can, even better, can learn to do all those tasks very easily in one go. I assume that all of us ask ChatGPT, "Hey, can you just write for me a script to automate my Excel file and copy data from this spreadsheet to the other one?" It just creates your JavaScript, you just integrate into your spreadsheet, and then it's done. Before, you should have asked uh, a developer to do that for you, and who had taken like work away from developers. Maybe it would have forced the company to hire just a developer to assist specifically people with writing scripts for spreadsheets. And now the employees just can do it everything on their own directly without asking anyone. That's an example. So for those simple tasks,
Yeah.
there is less need for hiring, right?
Thank you for that view. And since you brought the AI topic, since you brought it, Alex, I think that's a good way for us to shift here to your second book. Your second book is called The 12 Rules of Life According to ChatGPT from last year. Okay. So what inspired you to write a book about life rules based on AI generated wisdom?
Yeah. So after all this, during this AI boom and sharp interest around the subject, I was experimenting with ChatGPT and other LLMs as everybody. And I thought, like, okay, is it possible to write a whole
Mhm.
book with it? And how to do that? Because I was seeing around so many advertisements, like quite silly, some of them, like how I wrote a whole book with ChatGPT and became millionaire with it. Say, okay, is it real, or you just became millionaire by selling the course that explains how you could become millionaire with a AI written book? So my skepticism led me to think about, okay, to test this theory. And meanwhile, I was going to an intensive training with the usage of LLMs. I had the privilege also on Medium finding very good content from very smart professionals on how to use ChatGPT properly and in a more advanced way that was just going beyond just asking simple questions, but we structure prompts, we structure methods, how to spread the various tasks across different conversations with ChatGPT, how to create your own specific GPT for a specific task. And then I decided to bring
Mhm.
these skills on display, and even thinking there was even another deeper question, because there was, of course, the the dilemma on what makes AI art valuable. Is AI art truly art? Should be coming from the human mind? What makes art art? Where is the value in an art piece?
That's an interesting question indeed.
It's a really daunting question, right? And I think that during this process I found the answer. I think, so to speak, is that art is made by the effort you put into an idea. So I explain better is almost like the suffering that the artist puts in creating its work of art. A sculpture puts a lot of physical effort in sculpting something out of stone. Um, a biographical writer could just like literally take some pieces from her soul and put them on paper, uh, reveal even like intimate things about her life. Um, other artists can, like painters, can spend even hours trying to find the right concept to express on a canvas. So there is always a sort of work and suffering as well behind the process that is art its value. Many art collectors indeed like buy. They don't buy really the
Right.
piece of art itself, but they buy the story that is behind it. And then there was the idea. Say okay, so we need a story behind the creation of something done with AI. So which is not only the usage of AI itself, but how I use the AI and maybe how I, in quotes, how I suffered using AI.
Hmm.
And good idea was to do something that I was also afraid of, something that I never done before. So
A
was
challenge
to
for you.
a challenge, exactly. The challenge was to stream on Twitch the process of writing this book
Oh.
with ChatGPT, and it was really challenging. It was exhausting as well because like streaming for almost 3 hours on Twitch is really draining. And after that experience, I have total respect for Twitch streamers. Really, I say like, wow, you guys really rock. It's not so that easy. It's not easy as they say. And yeah, so it was quite a life lesson. First of all, it was
Hmm.
intense. It was educational as well, so additional value because I showed people how to have at least a more structured method on how to write a book if they want to. I show them that writing a good book with ChatGPT is anything but easy, especially if you don't put anything from yourself on the paper. Because in this for this book, I decided that the only human written part will be the preface that I did myself and some acknowledgement. Okay, I thank my friends and whatever. But I wanted the whole content, so the 12 chapters, the 12 rules coming from ChatGPT. And and what can I say? Like, how's the content quality? It is okay. It's funny. It's hilarious, in my opinion. There are also very nice pieces of advice that you can actually use in real life. But of course, like the the language is not really like it's not Shakespeare, of course. It's not a good writer. It's a bit schematic, repetitive in some passages, in my opinion. First, but readers, some readers also had different opinions. So some readers actually liked it. Others were like a bit more like, "Why am I reading this?" So the reactions are quite different. But yeah, I have to say that the moral of the story is that even when you use AI to write a book, you will still have to put your own effort in it. So in the end, the moral of the story is that AI is just a tool. So if you believe that you can use ChatGPT to create ex novo a whole book without putting any effort in it and hoping to make it the best seller, next best seller, and making millions out of it, you're going to be highly disappointed. So it doesn't work like that. And I suggest not to buy those courses that promise to have the easy life. Because if it's easy, it means it's not valuable. I remember at that talk saying that if you can do something, if you do create something that even a 5 years old can do with their phone or their computer, then there is no value in it.
Is that video of the Twitch session still available
Yeah, it's
for us
available
to
on my
share
YouTube
with
channel.
with this?
Yeah, I'm going to share with
Okay.
you.
So yeah. So the link is on the video description. Then, if for everyone that is interested to see those 3 hours of how to do that, how to create a book.
Yeah.
So from your description, it seems like it's not just going to ChatGPT and say, "Hey, write me a 100-page book about the 12 rules of life," and it just gives you the book straight away.
Yeah,
There's
no, it
something else.
doesn't
You
work.
need to do it different prompts, or how did you structure that? Probably the 3 hour video will explain, but for the sake of this conversation, how do you structure that?
Yeah, I can summarize it very quickly. Is that I created a what I call the Genesis prompt. So I came up telling ChatGPT, okay, I want to create a parody of a very well-known non-fiction book, which is 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. And then the second part of the prompt was drawing from your data set and from all the conversations, the wisest conversations that you had with your users, jot down 12 pieces of advice, so 12 rules for life that humans can use for their everyday life. Be wise, but also be humorous, witty, create something funny and useful at the same time. And then he created the 12 rules, which I love from the beginning, especially rule number 1, that is never take financial advice from a cat. That was awesome. I say, okay, here we are. And yeah, and after that,
And
I
it also
create.
explains why you should not. It's not just the rule itself; it's also an explanation.
Yeah. It was like the title. Then there was a brief explanation for that. That the explanation was basically that the cat would be all the financial gurus that you find on YouTube. That sometimes, most of the times, don't even have a real preparation, and then they just tell you where to invest, just covering themselves by saying, "This is not financial advice." So those are the cats that ChatGPT refers about, which is really on point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I took these
Yes.
12 rules, I pasted them on a Google Doc, and then I re-uploaded the Google Doc on a separate GPT that I created specifically for that. If you guys are familiar with ChatGPT, you have an option to create a specific. Oh no, just misclicked. Okay. That you can create like some sub AI agents within ChatGPT that have a specific task, and then you can program them with specific knowledge. So I created a GPT with a specific goal of creating this book, and the source knowledge was the 12 rules for life created by the Genesis prompt, plus a copy of Jordan Peterson book for reference to see like what kind of style and structure to keep. And then I went with this new GPT, creating one conversation for each chapter. Oh, yeah, in the source knowledge, there was also, I created also a separate prompt to define a structure of the chapter, the standard chapter structure. So the chapter has to have one intro that is around 500 words long. Even like the length is really important because ChatGPT has some length limits. So it's important to play around with them and set them from the beginning. And and yeah, and then like uploading everything in this source knowledge of this specific ChatGPT, and then just going one conversation for each chapter. Okay, let's start with chapter 1. Never ask a cat for financial advice. So go with the intro, and now go with the middle body. Then develop the topic, and then write the conclusion. And then I was doing this repeatedly for each chapter. So you need to have an organized
For the other
method.
11.
Yeah, to make it work.
Okay. Was this done all with the free version, or you had to pay ChatGPT?
Yeah, I did it with the pro version, which is $24 per month.
Pro.
Because with the free one, it would be really hard to do that.
So many prompts, it would hit a limit that you could not do more.
Exactly.
So many prompts. Okay.
But if you had to do it once, I mean, you can pay just $2 for 1 month, and then you're done. So I think it's not a huge investment.
Get the book and then sell it and get the money back. So
Yeah,
how
exactly.
much of the book is really... Oh, the game ended. Sorry. I won again. 49 to 38. It's closer than previous one, right?
Yeah.
Closer than previous one. Okay. Do you accept a final match for us to... The one that wins the next one wins everything?
Absolutely. I'm up for it. Let's do it.
Okay.
It will be a
So yeah, this
pleasure.
is gonna we'll make this the final one. You have the invitation on your side as well. So how much of the book is really AI generation versus your own input and editing? Is it 100% done with ChatGPT?
As I said, the introduction, the preface, was entirely written by me to explain what I was
Okay.
doing, how the concept was born. I even state at the very beginning that this is the only part of this book that is entirely human written. The 12 chapters, so the 12 rules, are entirely from ChatGPT. I did minor editing, just editing. I just removed just a couple of paragraphs that were repetitive or repeating themselves, or where ChatGPT just did some mistake, not a grammar mistake or any sort, but just like hallucinate a little bit, like repeating the same sentence 3 4 times, or creating like ugly formatting. So I intervene a little bit on the formatting as well. Other than that, I just let ChatGPT to express itself on wisdom. So I wanted just people to see ChatGPT wisdom at its best or its worst. Depends on how you look at it.
So I understand now from your explanation that you really use the book from Jordan Peterson to use as a baseline for the other one, like for him to copy the style, etc. But how do you think the 12 rules compare with Jordan Peterson 12 rules? Is just like night and day, or are there any valid connection between those 24 rules?
Yeah, I mean, like the first book, like on Jordan Peterson, yeah, there were only 12 rules. Then I think his appetite for money and fame just made him write a new another 12 rules and became 24, I think. Okay, but jokes aside, well, they're really different. So I appreciate how ChatGPT just went on its own path and to create something very original and didn't try simply to mimic what Jordan Peterson was saying. Yeah, they are very different. Some
Mm-hmm.
of them, in both cases, for both authors, can say some rules are golden. Some other rules are meh, don't really make sense. So I could say if I had to compare the two books, it's almost like a draw. Of course, Jordan Peterson's book is better written from just a pure language point of view, is more pleasant to read, because he's a very good writer. He knows to express himself, and we have to acknowledge that. So sometimes, even when you don't agree, it's still a pleasure to read words. Makes your English definitely better. You learn a lot of words as well. Um, while ChatGPT's writing style is still way more robotic, of course, so less enjoyable.
It's difficult, at least for now, to copy exactly right or the style. Maybe one day, but I'm a bit skeptic if it will just replicate everything perfectly. Um, but I'm also curious. So I feel like I'm spoiling your book with all these questions, Alex, or maybe I'll just raising the awareness. But the 12 rules that ChatGPT gave you, although the title may be funny, like "Don't trust cats for financial advice," are all those rules like valid life rules, or some of them may be just something that doesn't make any sense at all?
Mm, I would say, in my opinion, then everyone will have its own unique experience by reading this book, I think. But if I had to tell about my experience,
Mm-hmm.
not even as the writer of it, but as the first reader, I would say 4 or 5 rules are really relevant. The other 5, I would say they're okayish. A couple of ones don't make sense. While the final one is a good example of self irony from Chat GPT. That I really like it. which I don't agree
Hmm.
with. It's the
Hmm.
rule that I disagree the most, but yet is the most genius one.
Okay.
That's
So
what we can
there's
say.
no author judgment here because no one is judging your rules because the whole thing here is the process that you went through to create a book in 3 hours. So
It's all about the
it doesn't
process.
matter if the rules are they fit or not. It's all about the process. That's it. It's all about the process. Okay. Um, so as a side note here, do you believe that AI can truly offer meaningful life advice, or does it, at least for now, lack human depth?
Well, I think it cannot really provide life advice in the traditional sense, but for one simple reason. It's not about the technology, it's about direct experience. Right? The most powerful pieces of
Mm-hmm.
advice, the most powerful and successful self help books come from direct experience from the author. Because if you know the author went through those experiences directly,
Mm-hmm.
you tend to trust them more. Okay, this person is talking from direct experience, so I should listen up. But a machine cannot have real
Mm-hmm.
life experience. So one can react even to say, yes, of course, you, GBT, make everything easy, but you don't know how it is like going through this process, right? It also happens with a human author that just comments on things that he didn't experience. From being someone reliable, he becomes someone that can be arrogant or insensitive as well. How can you comment this if you even don't know what it is like? So I think the direct experience creates that, fulfills that need for authenticity.
Writing AI books could be called like a side hustle. Like I just want to do something else in my life, and I can write, try to write AI books. Um, did you or are you exploring other areas how AI could provide you with an extra income?
Not necessarily. I'm trying not to get too obsessed with it because
Mm-hmm.
uh, there is a high temptation of trying to find the easy way. By experience, I learned that when you go to the easy way to create a passive income, then you're doomed to fail. Because, as I said even before, if you can create
Everyone can do it, right?
someone, yes, that everyone can do, there is no value in that, and chances are high that you won't succeed. That as soon as you create this thing, this stream, competition will come up and will erase your efforts anyway. For example, I was the other day, not the other day, but like a month ago, I was thinking like, okay, let me try another experiment and try to create an Instagram channel with AI generated avatars and to see like if I can create an extra income
AI
from,
models.
yeah, AI models, of course, from Instagram. And now I saw like those Instagram handles are popping out like every day. There are like 10 new channels. And then I realized that it would be a waste
Yeah.
of time for me because
Mhm.
those those channels are just created by marketing agencies or people that have a whole team to do that. So you can't compete against them as a solopreneur anyway. And they know Instagram much better than you do.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so you can't even win the race. It would have been like an interesting act to just to learn more about automating things, automating content release on Instagram and social media. Like I was exploring like, okay, how to automate everything with Python, with a Python script. So using ChatGPT to create the Python script, then adding my
Mhm.
GPT OpenAI API into the Python script to communicate with Instagram API and automatically generate content weekly or
Mhm.
daily,
Mhm.
and then upload it to Instagram. It could be good as a self-teaching experience, but don't expect that you will succeed in creating an income stream like this, because the competition is fierce.
Is that the only advice that you would give to someone that is looking to start a side gig using AI? Not to try?
No, it's not to try. Curiosity is really important, but probably like it's more important to develop a habit of automating what you can automate, and also the habit of using AI or any other tool to improve what you're already doing on your own, so that it can help. Like if you're doing something valuable that no other people can do, like for example, writing catching, captivating novels, you can use AI to improve the process. Maybe, like for example, you could employ AI to better brainstorm about characters, to create their backstories, to analyze and come
Okay.
up with structuring their motives, their inner struggles, and to create a more compelling novel with a more compelling story behind it. I think that would be really. So you're already creating. Imagine that you're already, good, like a fantasy novelist, and you already have like 6, 7 books under your belt with 2 series. You have your niche audience that loves your characters, your epics, and then you might wonder, okay, how can I go to the next level? Because like as an artist, maybe you want to always improve and make like a better story every day, every time, and say, okay, let me try to thinking maybe, okay, I see like my characters, so they are memorable, they lack a bit of depth. How can I give depth to those characters? Maybe I can brainstorm with ChatGPT to come up with deeper characters. And then, like brainstorming with ChatGPT, maybe you can ask ChatGPT to be like a critic and say, okay,
Oh,
I
okay.
will tell you about the main character of my next story. What are his motives? What are his inner struggles? Where he has to go to find the answers for and solving his inner struggles. What do you think of this? And then ChatGPT can suggest you something and say, okay, but I think this the reason doesn't justify him to leave his hometown and go to here. Well, you had to provide something stronger. So I think this will be a really
Mm-hmm.
great way of using AI to create something valuable out of it, rather than just going the lazy way and just creating, using AI to simply write the book at your own place. So if I had to
Okay.
suggest something, it's going more like into this direction, like in a jokingly way, using AI to try to destroy your work so that they can come out stronger.
Stronger. Oh, build
Yeah,
some anticorps for your work. Interesting.
yeah, and
Again, the example that you gave is focus again on books, characters, etc. Um, do how do you monetize side hustles with AI? Other
what do
kinds
you
of
mind?
side hustles. Any idea?
Well, there are different ideas. Like I can like when you write a book, of course, like you can nowadays easily sell online your product. And I'm using like
Mhm.
a distributor like Ingram Spark that allows you to print on demand and even to distribute your ebook and paperback version to any major online store, not only Amazon. There's something important. I
Okay.
suggest never go directly with Amazon, because once you sign a contract with them, you're their slave. So don't do that.
What do you mean by being a slave?
You basically have an exclusivity agreement that usually is written like in very small letters. So you can publish your books only on Amazon, and that like cuts you off from
Mhm.
a whole universe of people that are even more and more that don't want to use Amazon, also for ethical reasons. So they won't be able to catch your book.
Mhm.
That would be a pity.
Okay. So what you're saying is that it's worth to explore other sellers for ebooks because it's not
Um,
just Amazon. Although everyone thinks about Amazon, it's not worthy.
It's not worthy. And I was lucky to learn this before publishing Thank You, President Corona, because I was documenting myself also online on how to be a self published author. And then this was the most precious piece of advice. Just don't go directly to Amazon, but consider to use self publishing platforms that can help your book reach different channels.
So again, on books, right? So there's nothing else. I won't exist. There's nothing else.
If I can mention something else, could be like good AI generated imagery art, as long as with your prompts you find your unique style. Because actually, I think that creating an image out of prompting an AI is an art itself. It's really, really hard to obtain what you really want to achieve. I know there are already
Mm-hmm.
some competitions for that. So
Yeah.
if you succeed at that and you create original and compelling images with AI, then they might be worth selling. And then again, here there are many services that allow you to print on demand and sell them on platforms like Etsy, for example. Etsy explicitly
Mm-hmm.
allows people to sell AI generated art, which is great.
Don't you think specifically on that example of digital art that if I can do it and create digital art and sell it, everyone can do it. So again, there's no value in that. The only thing that could differentiate is the fact that the prompts are difficult to write. Would that be enough for me to make sure that that is a valid way or side hustle to invest my time?
It can be, because especially if you manage to find your own specific style. I can notice that 90% of AI generated images are all the same style, same poses, same subjects. So it's
Okay.
quite easy to stand out. If you manage to find your prompting style with a very unique style, I can give an example now for my articles on Medium. I'm creating a lot of cover arts for my articles that with AI using the pixelated arcade video game style. And that's something that nobody else
Right.
does. So I'm considering also to go to that way. And I received good feedback for
Okay.
that. Say, and plus, like
Okay.
they are really different from
Mm-hmm.
the AI generated images, and they also look better. Like for example, with this style that is simpler to process for a machine, hands look consistent. They don't have 8 fingers. Other details are clean and make sense. So it's also easier to have control over it. But please don't copy my style.
Can't I? If I was going to say that, Alex. I was going to say that. So if I like your art and for some reason you were selling it, can I just get one example of your art and ask Midjourney to copy it and create my own based on your style?
You might try, but there is no guarantee that
Mm-hmm.
it will succeed, because like
Okay.
reverse imaging for AI is quite difficult. And it's also about
Okay.
the first comer. If you're the first comer with this kind of art, then people probably will want this art from its original author. Is it original, or like it was someone else, a fan made piece of art with it? It's a bit like with normal classic paintings. One thing is like if you just like you acquire something from Bansky himself. Another one is if you buy the same kind of graffiti but made by someone else, so an unknown author. Say no, but I want a Bansky. Okay, this graffiti is really nice. It looks like Bansky, but it's not Bansky, right?
Okay. You need to rip it off live in front of people in order to become a valid Bansky. So Alex,
Exactly.
although you didn't went in different areas that AI could help you with side giggles, I would like to propose you a challenge. In some of my
Mhm.
other shows and episodes, I've challenged the guest with two topics, and I asked which one was better or they preferred in different areas. Okay. And then we keep that one, the other one drops, and we bring another one and still compare, and you compare. And in theory, in the end, you will have the one that is the strongest or you prefer the most. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some AI side hustles for you to evaluate and tell me which one is better. And use whatever framework you want to do. When I initially thought of this was like, is this a valid side hustle or not? Alex will tell me if I should forget this or I should invest. So let's see how it goes, Alex. Then, okay. So for example, between ad copywriting and SEO optimization and blog writing,
I would say, I will bet on copywriting because copywriting it's more formulaic, so it fits better for a machine.
then between copywriting and social media management,
I will still stick to copywriting.
copywriting and email marketing,
Ooh. Okay. The two are quite well interconnected. I would say email marketing because unlike copywriting, it virtually has no limit. You can scale up with AI 10, 100 times.
between email marketing and affiliate marketing,
I will stick to email marketing because you can include affiliate marketing in it.
email marketing or course creation.
I stick to email marketing because you can include also selling courses.
Email marketing and or AI generated merchandise.
Email marketing, absolutely.
Email marketing or ebook writing.
That really depends on someone's indole, I think. But I think email marketing because more people can do that, can excel at that, rather than just writing ebooks.
The last one, between email marketing and AI digital art.
In my case, I would choose AI generated art, but for most people, still email marketing is the best way to go.
Okay. So yeah, thank you,
I
Alex.
think we
The AI digital art is the AI side SL with more potential. What's next for Alex? Next project.
So I'm currently putting effort in expanding my Medium page because it's the one that I like the most. It's the one that is giving more satisfactions as well. Yet I feel like I didn't put enough effort, at least in a consistent way. And whatever you do, and it doesn't matter if you do it with AI or not, consistency is the most important thing. Because if you're not consistent, you cannot reach anything in life in general. And beside of that, preparing to write my first novel. So this time it won't be nonfiction. My next book is going to be probably an historical epic. And it's one of the reasons why I'm in Croatia now, taking a break from Portugal, because Istria, the region of Croatia that I'm in, has a really rich Roman history and one of the best preserved Roman ruins. These are is helping me to get inspiration. There is a special energy here, and I hope I will translate it into a great historical book. I have in mind 3 different stories. I'm still deciding which one to pursue. So for now, I'm just test writing. By this time, probably no AI will be involved, or at least it will be involved with the brainstorming process and probably the final proofreading editing process. But other than that, this time everything will come directly from my own mind.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the tease. And again, for everyone interested, the links are in the video description. So, Alex, I was waiting to to deploy the last to make the last move here on the game, because it will trigger the end game. So I'll just put
Let's
my
do it.
pieces here, and let's see. I see a big difference. I see a big difference in the score already before the final score. So
well, I see it has so many negatives this time, but I'm also closing many
this time,
lines.
so yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we can play board games with ChatGPT. Well, we already have the digital versions, but maybe one day you can just take the game out of the shelf and just ask ChatGPT to make the move, and you play it with AI and with several players with personalities. I don't know. Maybe one day. Maybe if you want to explore a project like that, just give me a call, and I will be glad to collaborate with that. Thank you, Alex. And I hope that the people that are listening to this video, they will get the interest to explore the links below. And who knows, get to you, talk to you as an author, and have deeper conversations about everything that we've discussed today. Thank you for being in the show.
Thanks for this visibility, for this opportunity. And it was really awesome, actually, I would say. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Goodbye.
You too. Goodbye.